like, I think that we've counted down to we've wanted to do this podcast for what, 2 years?
A long time. We have talked
Like,
about it for so long.
we've talked about this for years. Just the idea of it and dreaming about it. I think it's been really funny too over the course of that time watching how it's gone from us really just wanting to talk about random things to having like legit things that we can talk about that we had no idea was coming,
Mhm,
you
mhm.
know, it's just so fun. I
But
think
look
it's
at you,
been
look at what you're doing. I mean, you took the leap, you did it, you're doing it.
Well, look at what you're doing. That's what we're talking about today, all the fun stuff that you're doing. But honestly, I think it's been really fun to be able to go jump into some adventures at the same time because
Yes,
it's been really nice to kind of just bounce off and know that I don't know, when you're running towards exciting things, it's really fun to have someone running next to you, you know?
yes. Somebody that understands at least a piece of what you're doing, what you're walking through, and the fears and
Mhm.
the really hard moments and the busyness, the lack of time, and but still trying to chase a dream and something that you're passionate about. So yeah, it's really been fun us kind of walking through this together the last couple of years.
For sure. Well, and I want to start. I think usually I start with a backstory, but I kind of want to start out first with all that you're doing with just encouraging health, what it is, and you could talk about it more, and then we could kind of go backwards to see how we got there.
Sure, sure. I mean, really, the kind of the I'll try to give you just the shortest version is that I'm in my 50s now, and I
Which
don't know.
is wild.
Well, I
Look
don't know
at
about that.
she's in her 50s.
I probably didn't really start taking my health somewhat serious, like as much as I knew about health, probably until I was in my 40s.
Mm.
And late 30s, early 40s is when I said, "Oh, I think I want to run a half marathon," and joined a running group and started running and eventually, worked my way up and started running marathons. And honestly, I kind of thought that was like the pinnacle of health. I thought I can run 26 miles. That's great. Eating low fat, trying to, really count my calories. I mean, to just be really honest, like, can I feel my hip bone? Like, am I skinny enough? Can I fit into the
Mm.
right jeans? What size am I? What's the number on the scale? All the things. I'm an 80s, 90s girl. And so that's just kind of what I was raised on, like to be thin and to be skinny. Um, and so late 30s, early 40s, I'm like, oh, I'm going to lose some weight and start running and accomplished all those goals. Then I look back now and realize that I had some health things with my thyroid when I was late 30s, maybe.
Mm.
It's crazy now because I wish I knew then what I know now about thyroid health. And so went through some health struggles then, continued to, just run and eat less and get smaller and watch the gene size go down and then
Which
probably
is probably hurting your thyroid.
bingo. So then like into my 40s, still running. And then like a lot of people in 2020, um, I think a lot of people really started taking their health seriously. And right before COVID hit, I started having some medical problems. Ended up having a surgery to have a tumor removed from my uterus, and of course now again same thing. Wish I knew then what I know now. Didn't question it. I had the surgery and fine. I'm great. I'm super healthy. But after that happened, I just started kind of asking myself why, like what is going on, like why did this happen,
Mhm.
and my doctor says, well, it's just kind of happens. We don't really know why it happens. It just happens. That's quite literally what she said to me. No hate to the medical field or to doctors. They have their place. So that's not what this is about. I want to make sure that you know that. I
Yeah.
think you and I have talked about that many times.
We'll put that in the fine print. Asterisk highlight not
Um,
medical.
but I just started diving in and just started really having some aha moments in my life and
Mhm.
started learning about nutrition, started learning about gut health, started learning about um, being overworked physically. exercising too much, not sleeping enough. I 10 years ago was, thought, oh, it's normal to work 60, 70 hours a week. And actually, you kind of wear a badge. That's what our society has done, right? It tells us that,
Mm.
working that many hours and running the miles, and it's like it's normal. It's okay. And this, you have little ones. My kids are grown, but we live in a society that tells us the hurry and the rush and the going, like that's good. That's a badge of honor. But I just started diving into what could make me feel better. And I learned a lot about food, real food. I learned a lot about the things that are in our food, processed food, the sugar, everybody knows sugar is bad. But there's over 60 different names for sugar. Most people probably don't know that.
They
And
don't.
so, right? And the food dye and the weed killer that's sprayed on our crops, and all of those things contribute to our poor health today. And so
Mhm.
I just started really just diving into it and learning a lot, and decided I was going to go back to school. And so went back to school, and I'm now a nutritional therapy practitioner.
Woohoo! Official.
And then recently, a professional health and wellness coach as well. And so, if I'm just really honest, a couple of years ago, when I kind of started this process, I just started praying about it. It's like, Lord, what do you have for me? What is this? And I can tell you the exact moment that it happened, that Just Encouraging Health was born. I was sitting on the front row at church, watching a run through for service, which is my full time job. I'm an assistant to our pastor, where you and I both go to church. And in that moment, like in the flash, like just in a second, the Lord gave me Just Encouraging Health, because I had been praying about, God, is this something that you want me to do for other people? Is it just for me? Is it just for my family, the people close to me?
Mhm.
And I really feel like in that moment, He gave me Just Encouraging Health. And so it was kind of born. I think I even probably told you almost two full years ago, like this is the name. This is what I'm going to call it. Didn't have any idea what it was, what it would become. I still don't. It's still
Mhm.
in the beginning processes. It's still like a newborn, and so that's kind of where it came. I just want to be able to teach and educate and become an advocate for people, to teach them
Mhm.
things about what can make them feel better, because I realize that I have went through a lot of health things, from gut problems, to hormone issues, that were not always necessary. And I could
Mhm.
have prevented a lot of things. And so now I just want to be a part of helping people understand that, a little bit more, the way I needed to also understand it.
When you were learning, was it almost like a deep dive, just sort of grabbing books and articles, like, as you, um, were interested in specific things, or did just your personal health struggles kinda make you wonder in those specific areas and dive deeper there?
Well, I think that back in 2020, I really started questioning some things in regards to my health and some things that I was going through. And didn't think, um, I just didn't think that logically things are just normal. Like, this is normal. Like, I'm just supposed to accept that my body's going to break down. And eventually, yes, my
Mm,
body's going to break down. That's normal for everybody, of course. But I just started thinking, is it normal for me in my 40s to be feeling this way?
mhm,
And so I really started leaning in, with books and learning things from people that were a lot smarter than me. And I'm still learning, I'm still educating myself. I'm a work in progress.
mhm.
And so, still learning lots of things. But yeah, I just started reading a lot of books. 2020, I had a lot of extra time on my hands, like we all did.
Why? No, just
And so, yes, I just started taking the time to really, educate myself on the specific things that I was dealing with. And so
Mhm,
much of what I was dealing with, I learned went back to food and the food I was putting in my body. And I should have known that, because most of my adult life, late teens, well, I battled an eating disorder, as a
mm,
child and as a teenager and into my young adult years. But then things kind of switched in my body, and I realized most of the time when I was eating, it was followed by a trip to the bathroom. And
Mhm.
I was very sick to my stomach and realized after now, looking back, knowing that it's all gut health. It's all related
Mhm.
to my gut. Things that I was eating that I didn't realize that were not great for my body, and that it was just quite literally destroying my gut. And
Mhm.
so I just started teaching myself, and then at the encouragement of my husband, he's like, "You should learn more about that. Like, it's such a passion of yours." Like, when I started learning and having these big aha light bulb moments, um, I just thought people don't know. I mean, I would learn things and tell
Mhm.
people. I mean, you and I would have conversations, and I have, some close friends that are very similar, with you and I, whereas we talk about health and learning more about what we can do to be better for not just for
Mhm.
ourselves, but for our families.
Mhm.
And so at the encouragement of my husband, I started researching some schools to go to, and eventually enrolled, and did not realize I was in way over my head. Trying to learn
We
something
all are in
in
everything.
your 40s and 50s. It was a lot, but yeah, I'm grateful for his encouragement. To He saw a passion in me and something that I was really passionate about, and he said, "Go for it." I don't. He's probably kind of regretting it a little bit now because of.
No, I'm so glad you did. I literally am so glad that you did. I think like you've been so fun to talk to about health and wellness um
So kind.
and even you're just a light in that space. And I just want to know like cuz you and I talk about this a lot, but one thing has stuck out to me that you said, and I didn't like prep you on this, but you say that you don't have to get old and sick,
Hmm.
and that's something that you say a lot. And
Hmm.
I have always like pocketed that in my brain a little because I constantly hear people talk about getting old and sick. And I'm like, you
Hmm.
don't have to get old and
Yeah.
sick. And and I think that it is encouraging to see that you mentioned that people were interested in getting healthier in 2020. But would you sort of speak to almost culturally why people feel the old sick thing? I don't know. I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah. Well, I think that if you go back to like the 1940s, 50s, 60s, obesity was not what it is today. It was not an epidemic. Now, over 70% of our society is obese. We are the fattest and most unhealthy um, country in the world. In the world, the things that we as Americans have access to, and that's what we are. One in two Americans will have have had cancer or will experience cancer before they die. Fertility is at an all-time high in our country, in our nation. Cancer in young adults has went up in the last, I made a little note, 10 years, over 79% in 10 years. Half of our tap water has, what they call forever chemicals in them. So, and I can give you lots of resources to even just add links where people can
That'd
go
be
and
great.
check their zip code where they live, their county. They can check to find out what is actually in their water,
Mhm.
because most of it is garbage.
Because we're nerds into that, but not
Yes,
everybody does that.
we do, and maybe a lot of people don't care, but there's weed killer in our food. That's what they spray our crops with, is weed killer that is linked to cancer. I mean, um, there are lawsuits where the makers of some of these weed killers have had to pay and are continuing to pay millions and millions of dollars from people because of cancer.
Mhm.
And so we are not going to forever be able to keep ourselves from those forever chemicals that will stay in our body.
Mhm.
We're not going to be able to keep ourselves always from um, taking in that weed killer. But there is a lot of prevention that we can do now. Um, Me at 51 years of age, I am trying to take care of myself today so that 60 and 70-year-old Jennifer can get down on the floor and play with my grandkids. And so that
Mhm.
I can still go for a hike in Colorado when I go on an adventure with my husband. I think that it is a lie that you have to turn 60, 70, 80 years of age and not be able to do more than sit in a recliner and watch TV,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
I mean, we should be able to do those things. And again, 50 years ago, this was not a problem. It
Mhm.
all goes back to the food that we eat and the things, the environment that we are putting ourselves in. And we can stop it. We can absolutely stop it and definitely slow the progression of age and disease in our environment and in our society. For sure. I'm so
Jeez.
passionate about it.
Gosh, we both could be just like
Yes, I know that I mean, I am a type A as strong as you can get as a type A. I know that. And the good Lord's working on me. Like I truly know that I swing really hard one way. And I don't expect other people to always swing quite that hard. I just want people to take little steps and we can all do little things to
Mhm.
make huge impacts on our health. From going for a walk to getting outside in the sun, contrary to what we're told, the sun is not a bad thing. We need the sun to for energy, for vitamin
Good, I
D,
love the sun.
to get in the sun, to get that in our eyes, like it helps with our sleep. Like it's so beneficial. There's just so much more that we can all do for to benefit our health. Even
I
little
specifically like it I like it on sand with waves.
me too, girl. Me too.
That's how I prefer the sun.
Me too. Get my feet in the sand.
Yes. So when someone decides to come and work with you with just encouraging health,
Mhm.
like what is that? Because that a lot of what you said like is all encompassing. Like even the things in the US when we talk about, when we talk about water, when we talk about food, when we talk about
Mhm.
even the lack of movement, all of those things, that's a lot. And I think that I don't know if you find that some people, when they come to you, are like, I have no idea what to do. This is a
Mhm,
lot.
mhm, mhm,
And
mhm,
so when you first meet with a new client or a potential client, what does that process look like? And especially as they're coming to you a little bit overwhelmed with choices, their future, and all of these things, what does that look like?
yeah, so my website will be launching soon, I hope in the next month or so. So we're recording this in
Woo!
October, so hopefully in November,
Where's,
I'll
where's the
actually
confetti?
have hopefully, I will have a website soon. But currently what I do with my clients is it truly is baby steps. I just wanna see where people are. Um, there will kind of be two different avenues that people can take if they want to work with me. One, first of all, I'm almost always a resource to you, and to people reach out and ask questions. As you know, people ask me, "Well, how do you do this?" or "Do you have a list of that?" Or I'm always a resource for little quick questions like that. So I
I
want
literally
everybody.
I have to tell people about last week. I literally I text you all the time, but I literally was sick last week and my poor throat, I was like, I don't know what to do. I was like, I don't want to just run to the store and go get something because I want to build an immune system and I always also don't want to feel like this. And so I literally just texted you and you were so fast to be like, okay, you should do this. Here's some links. Here's Amazon to go get this. And I'm like, oh, so just know I will vouch for you. And as
Well,
you grow, you're not going to be able to do that for everybody.
goodness, no.
For now, people need to take advantage of that.
Yeah. Well, I am always happy to. I feel like I am kind of that end stop for people that you've worked with and that I work with every day, that and I'm
Mm-mm.
happy to do that. I love doing that. But ultimately, for people who aren't always taking care of their bodies, but I seem to be the call that people make when they're sick,
Mm,
which is great. I'm happy to help people, but there has to be like changes in their life, right? Like we
mm-hmm,
can't just keep spinning our wheels and getting sick and being on a cycle. I mean, we can,
mm-hmm.
but if people want real change in their life, there has to be big life change, right?
Right.
So my goal is I'll have like two different avenues. I'll have like a 12-week gut program, because I want people to learn that all of our nourishment, over 70% of our immunity, it all starts in the gut. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's where healing begins. And so sickness, disease, autoimmune, hormone issues, depression. There's so much stuff out, so many studies out that show that depression and it can be linked back to your gut health and
Which
to your
is
nerve
wild. That is wild.
brain health, skin health, heart health. I mean, every part of the body depends on a healthy gut and a healthy microbiome. It's
Mm,
all somewhere somehow connected to the gut. So I'm going to have a 12-week gut program that takes people through several modules where they can watch some videos that they'll be there with me, but also it's just baby steps, right?
mhm,
So many resources on how to read labels. We talked at the top about sugar and how many different names there are for sugar. And really, just a big part of my job is just to educate people so
mhm,
that they can make the decisions for themselves to take the steps that they need to take.
mm,
Then the other path in just encouraging health will be just health coaching, where people can buy health coaching packages. And my job as a health coach is really to pull from you, from Mindy, what you actually already have inside of you. Like you want to start prepping meals for your family, you healthy meals for your family. You want to start going on runs. You have a goal to run a marathon. Whatever it is, as a coach, my job is to come alongside you in the passenger seat and to just help you find that inner strength and courage that you have to reach that goal. That is
mm.
my job as a health coach. And it does not crisscross over into nutritional therapy. They're two completely separate things. As a health coach, I just help you to find what is already within you to hit the goals that you want to hit. And so, depending on which route you want to take, those will be
Mhm.
the two different paths that people will be able to apply to be able to work with me.
That's great. And I really might need to do that because I went ahead and signed up for a dang marathon, never done that before.
You did
I'm running a half in April.
the one in Nashville, the
Yeah.
Nashville. Good for you, Mindy. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It is the most fun half marathon. I'm telling you. Anybody, let me just say this for anybody that listens to this podcast, anybody can run that half marathon. It is so fun.
Oh my
Once
gosh.
the city of Nashville comes out in force, it is the most fun. So I hope you have somebody that you're running it with.
I am. But if anybody else listening to this wants to run it with me, because I do things in groups,
Mindy, I'm
I
so
do.
proud of you.
I signed up for it and then immediately was like, what am I doing?
No, you can do
But
it.
I needed something to focus on. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna do this. So right now I'm up to 5.24 miles is what I can run right now.
Wow,
So
you have so much time.
yes, I know. I'm like, okay, now I gotta really work on the outfit and all
Uh,
the other super important things.
I'm so proud of you. Okay, and so side note, you and I have to get together and run sometime. Then
I
you'll have to come
know.
to Nashville. We'll have
I
to go do my
know.
favorite, which is at Percy Warner Park. We'll have to run some hills to get you ready. It's
I
so much.
love the woods. We need to run.
There it is.
Perfect.
Yes, it's a date.
So with like now you have potential client.
Yeah.
I'm already a client, are you kidding me? But I would just say, like, what is a client that you've worked with that was really noteworthy to you and it doesn't necessarily have to have a destination, but something that was really eye-opening for you to see that just in working with a client that you've had.
Yes. So actually recently a girl that was a client of mine, her name is Emma, and I can say her name because she's in the process of helping me out with kind of a testimonial for my website. So I know she'd be
Mm,
okay for me to use her name. And Emma, when she came to me back in the spring, she was really having a lot of gut problems, a lot of cramping, a lot of not great bathroom issues. She was just in a lot of pain. She was bloated, like a lot of us women, especially, are. She just really needed some guidance on some gut health. And
mhm,
so I took her through the process that I had then at the time, walked her through some supplementation, and we changed her diet completely. And so every time that she would, at the time, which she loved dairy, like most of us do, right? She loves cheese. Um, and we, as an example, we cut out dairy in her diet. We changed her eating for a few months. We added in some supplementation. I won't go too deep into that. There's a lot of reasons behind that. But she made the decision to make these changes in her life. And what's so great about dairy, so many people think, oh, I'm allergic to dairy. I can't eat dairy, can't eat dairy. And I would say anytime you're going to eat dairy, try to make it to be grass-fed and organic dairy.
Right.
That is the best of the best of the best if you're going to eat dairy.
Mhm.
But she thought maybe she would be just allergic to dairy. And I said,
Mhm.
give it some time, because the goal would be for us to clean up your gut a little bit. Basically, that's kind of high level what we did with her. We worked to get her gut health in order.
Mhm.
And she actually just about 6 weeks ago texted me, because we worked together for a couple months, 2 or 3 months. And then, like I do with all my clients, I let her, she flew out of the nest and was kind of on her own. And she knew I was always available to be a resource for her, anything that
Mhm.
she might need. And she reached out about a month to 6 weeks ago, shot me a text and just said, I just want you to know how life changing it's been to work with you, because I'm now able to eat dairy again. Because of
Mm.
what I taught her was, sometimes we can think, like gluten, for example. Some people may think that gluten is, and most of our bodies are not. We can't process gluten well. Most of us cannot.
Right.
But dairy is also another example of that. A lot of people cannot process and digest dairy very well. But sometimes it's because you don't have what you need in your gut and in your microbiome to be able to do those things. And so we took the time to not only heal what was going on in her gut, but we took time to kind of build up her immunity and build things back in her gut that had been destroyed just over time, because it happens from antibiotics to when we take acetaminophen, certain foods that we eat, sugar, all these things have an impact on our gut health. And so we worked together for a few months to kind of get that under control for her and to get her back to feeling better. And not only does she feel better now, but she's able to eat dairy again and without any issues at all.
That's
And
awesome.
she, I mean, if I'm honest, when I got the text from her, we were on a trip. Bobby and I were on a trip, and it brought such emotion to me, because I told my husband, like, this is it. Like, this text represents all the work that I've put in and why I
Mhm.
do what I do. Because
Mhm.
her learning the things that she did about the food that she eats, um,
Mhm.
and how she nourishes her body made such a difference to her and her life. And
Mhm.
my hope is that I'll always be able to work with people and just educate them to where they're able to not just lose some weight and fit in the dress or get ready for the wedding, or want to bring their cholesterol down, or whatever the goal is. My
Mhm.
hope would be that it's something that takes them through the rest of their life, and it's
Mhm.
things that they always remember, things that will help them have a positive impact on their health. I mean, that is
Mhm.
my goal. That is it. I'm not looking to make a fortune. I just really, truly want to educate and help people understand the power of food and the power of some lifestyle changes in their life and the difference that it can make.
Well, and as someone who's just been around and worked with you unofficially before just encouraging health started, I think because you've been doing this long before it had a name or a website, and um, your impact goes far beyond um, what you know. I mean, I think our whole family is just forever changed by knowledge that we didn't know that we needed. And I'm just grateful. And I think that even the health of my family, my children, I think that a lot of that has come from education and things that I've learned by you just being gracious and kind with that information. So I'm excited for, honestly, for that's one testimonial you shared, but man, it's going to be amazing just to watch as on your website, you just have person over person over person
Thank you.
experiencing that.
It's very kind.
So,
Thank you.
yes. What's to say? Can I know that website's coming
Mhm.
and we're going to share the fire out of that when that happens. But in the meantime, like if someone's listening to this and it sparks something like, oh man, I really need to talk to her, what would be the best way to reach you?
Yeah, so you can hit up my Instagram, of course, Just Encouraging Health. Or you can email me at jen@justencouraginghealth.com. And then hopefully, fingers crossed, in the next few weeks, we'll have my actual website up and running and in tip top shape. So there'll be lots of ways to, lots of get in touch with me, but also ways to be resourced. There'll be lots of good resources out there, recipes. There's going to be a blog. You can get on my newsletter list. All those things will all be out there. And so I love being a resource. So please reach out if you have questions or if I'm not the right fit for you, then I know lots and lots of people in the health and wellness space, and I would love to be able to connect you. Anything that's going to help you look at your health and want to be better, feel better, you know, trust yourself, but more with your decisions as you are on a health journey. I'm your girl. You just let me know.
Yeah, you are. That's going to
Thank
be
you.
great. And honestly, by the time that this is out, your website might be launched.
It might. Yep.
Please,
Fingers crossed. Fingers
please,
crossed. Fingers
Lord.
crossed.
Well, I'm so excited and excited for people to hear about you and just even be following you. So I would encourage anybody listening or watching this, go check out Jen's stuff. Go check out Instagram. See the things that she shares is valuable information. And we all need to always be learning. And so if nothing else, just continue to learn from things that she's posting and talking about because I think everyone can benefit from all of it. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Mindy. I appreciate it so much.
Well, I appreciate you. Have the best day.
You too.